Okay, so student, in the last class we have seen about the Gauss's law and its application. In the application we have derived the formula for electric field due to a point charge at a distance r and we have written electric field due to a point charge at a point is kq by small r square, where this charge is q at a distance r, the electric field will be kq by small r square and the potential at this point will be kq divided by small r. So, this is the electric field and potential due to a point charge. Next thing we have seen is electric field due to a infinite wire. So, electric field due to a infinite wire at a distance r perpendicular from the wire, the charge density on this wire is lambda, then the electric field is written as 2k lambda by r. Then we have found out electric field due to a infinite sheet. So, you have an infinite sheet, the charge density on this sheet is sigma. So, from this at a distance d or any distance, the electric field will be sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Similarly, you have a plate. This is an infinite plate. So, from this plate at a distance, any distance d, electric field will be sigma by epsilon naught. So, electric field due to a point charge is kq by capital R, sorry, kq by small r square, electric potential will be kq by r. For a infinite long wire, electric field will be 2k lambda by r, where lambda is the linear charge density on the wire. Similarly, for a infinite sheet, the electric field will be sigma by 2 epsilon naught, where sigma is the charge density, because this is a surface and the charge density on this one is sigma. Similarly, there is a infinite conducting plate. Conducting plate means again the charge will be on the surface. So, electric field will be sigma by epsilon naught. So, due to a sheet, sigma by 2 epsilon naught, due to a plate, sigma by epsilon naught. This is a conducting plate, this is a non-conducting sheet. The next thing we did was, we have found out the electric field and electric potential due to a hollow conducting or solid conducting or hollow non-conducting sphere. So, you have a sphere, radius of this sphere is capital R, charge given to this sphere is q. So, from here you can write, because this sphere is a hollow sphere, so the charge will be distributed over the surface. So, you can define the charge density sigma as q divided by a. From here sigma will be q divided by 4 pi capital R square. So, this was the hollow conducting sphere and these are the information given. Then from this information we have, using Gauss's law, we have derived the electric field at 3 different points. One, the point was inside the sphere, second was on the surface of the sphere, and third point was the outside the sphere, and we have found out the electric field and electric potential. So, first thing was inside. Inside means small r is less than capital R. Small r, again the small r is the distance of the point from the center of the sphere. So, if the distance of the point from the center of the sphere is less than r, the point will be inside. So, in this case electric field was, so electric field inside was 0. Next thing was potential. Potential inside we have found out kq divided by capital R. So, this is the electric field and potential at a distance when the point is inside the sphere. Second thing was on the surface. Surface means small r will be equals to capital R. So, distance of the point from the center of the sphere will be capital R if the point is on the surface. In that case, electric field was kq divided by capital R square, which also can be written as sigma by epsilon naught. Similarly, electric potential, so this is on the surface. So, electric potential on the surface can be written as kq by capital R. Similarly, outside at any point, outside means small r is greater than capital R. Then electric field outside can be written as kq divided by small r square, and potential can be written as kq divided by small r. So, this is the outside. Now, similarly, if I ask you what will be the electric field and electric potential at the center. So, the central point is inside. So, inside the electric field is 0. So, at the center means small r is equals to 0, or the point is on the center. Electric field will be 0 and electric potential will be kq by capital R. So, this is the information you have to memorize. Next thing was we have drawn the graph of electric field and electric field and R. So, we have drawn the graph or variation of E versus small r. So, as we can see from the center till a distance capital R, the electric field is 0. So, till this point, so here I can write R is equals to capital R. Till this point electric field is 0. After this, as soon as you reach at the surface, the electric field will become kq by small r square. So, here this will be kq by capital R square. After this point, electric field is directly proportional to 1 upon r square. So, this was the variation of electric field. Similarly, the variation of electric potential, as you can see at the center electric potential is kq by r. So, we are drawing the graph of V versus small r. So, at the center potential is kq by capital R, till the surface the potential is kq by r. So, potential till center it is constant. After this point potential is decreasing. So, here electric field is directly proportional to 1 upon r square, and here potential is directly proportional to 1 upon r. So, this is the information about the electric field, electric potential for a hollow conducting, solid conducting. So, does not matter if the sphere is hollow or solid. In case of conducting, these are the formulas. Then for hollow non conducting also these formulas are valid. So, this is the electric field and potential due to a sphere. So, in last class we have covered till this point. Now, we are going to proceed further. As you can see, inside the sphere the electric field. So, we are going to talk about conducting. Conducting sphere. So, what is a conducting for a conducting sphere, inside the electric field is 0. So, inside a conductor electric field is 0, electric field inside. So, inside electric field, so you have a conductor. So, inside at every point, at this 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 point, every point electric field is 0. So, this is the property we have already done, that inside a conductor electric field is 0. So, here electric field at every point is 0. Second thing you can see is from the center till the surface, potential at every point is kq by r, kq by r and kq by r. So, again at this point, at this point, at this point, at this point, even at the surface, potential is kq by r. And electric field is 0. So, inside a conductor electric field is 0, potential is constant. So, V inside is equals to constant. So, these are the two properties of conductor which you have to remember, that inside the conductor electric field is 0 and potential inside the conductor remains constant. It does not change as you move from one point to another point inside the conductor. Remember, this is conducting sphere. So, inside the conductor if you are moving from one place to another place, potential remain constant, electric field is 0. So, now, so I can say inside the conductor at each and every point electric field is 0 and potential remains constant. So, there is a concept called equipotential surfaces. region. So just now we have seen that you have a conductor, doesn't matter if it is a solid conductor or a hollow conductor. On the surface of this one, the electric potential at every point will be kq by r. So at each and every point potential is kq by r. So these kind of surfaces are called as equipotential surface. The name itself is suggesting that the surface at which at every point, a surface on which at every point the electric potential is the same throughout the surface, that surface is called as equipotential surface. What do we mean by the equipotential region? Equipotential region will be a 3-dimensional space in which electric potential remains constant. So on the surface of the sphere, the potential at every point is the same, which is kq by capital R. So the surface of the conductor you can call as equipotential surface, and inside the sphere, complete this whole space also has constant potential. So this whole surface can also be called as equipotential region. So you can write the definition of equipotential surface or equipotential region. A surface on which the potential at every point is same is called as equipotential surface. Now what is the use of this conductor? This property of this conductor, that electric field inside the conductor is 0 and the potential inside the conductor is same throughout the region. Now, as you remember from your class 9th or 10th, that if there is a potential difference, suppose here potential difference is V1, here potential difference is V2, and V1 is greater than V2. So you have seen that the current will flow from V1 to V2. So there will be current. This you are going to study this thing in your current electricity, but this is the basic knowledge, that if there is a potential difference between these 2 points and one point is higher potential, second is the lower potential, so current will flow from higher potential to lower potential, and if both of them are at the same potential, there will be no current. So inside the conductor we have seen that inside the conductor at every point electric potential is constant. So if you keep a object inside the conductor, there will be no electric field, so electric field cannot affect this equipment. So this is the use of conductor. We use the conductor to shield the object which are sensitive to the external current or external electric field. So you take a object, suppose you want to, this is a electrical equipment, you want to protect it from the external electric field. So what you can do is you can keep it inside the hollow conductor. So if you are keeping in this electric equipment inside a hollow conductor, then there will be no effect of external electric field on this one. So this thing is called as electrostatic shielding. So use of conductor is, we can use the conductor for electrostatic shielding. So remember the properties of excuse me. Remember the properties of conductor. Inside the conductor electric field is 0 and electric potential is constant throughout the region. So that region can be called as equipotential region. And then the last thing is conductor can be used for electrostatic shielding. Electrostatic shielding means if you keep anything inside the conductor, the conductor will protect if you keep anything inside the conductor will protect the object from the external electric field, and this thing is called as electrostatic shielding. Now next thing we are going to do is we are going to find the electric field and electric potential due to a solid non-conducting sphere. So electric field and potential due to solid non-conducting sphere. So you have a non-conducting sphere and it is solid, so everywhere there will be matter. You give a charge q to this one, similarly radius of this one is capital R, so volume of this one can be written as 4 pi. So volume, you will be confused between this V and that V, so I am not going to write the volume, but you know the volume of a sphere is 4 by 3 pi r capital, sorry, 4 by 3 pi r cube. So similarly, so here whatever charge I am giving to this one, the charge will be distributed throughout the volume of the sphere. So we define the volume charge density, which is rho. Rho can be written as q divided by volume, and q is the charge given and the volume of the sphere is 4 by 3 pi capital R cube. Now we are going to find out the electric field for this sphere, similarly as we have done for the non-conducting sphere. So inside the sphere, on the surface of the sphere and outside the sphere. So first we are going to find out the electric field outside the sphere. So charge given to this one is q, so I can say, so I want to find the electric field outside the sphere at a distance small r from the center. So again remember, the small r is the distance of the point from the center. Now to find the electric field here using the Gauss's law, I have to first assume a closed Gaussian surface. So I have assumed this sphere which is surrounding this sphere. So I have imagined a sphere which is surrounding this solid non-conducting sphere. At this point, if I want to find the electric field, I can write the formula for electric flux over a closed surface E dot dr, which will be equals to q in q divided by epsilon. We have done this thing in the last class, that electric flux through a closed surface is equals to q inside this closed surface divided by the epsilon. Now at this point, sorry, this is q dot dA. So this is E dot dA is equals to q divided by epsilon. So at this point electric field will be in this direction, and on this closed Gaussian surface, if I take this small area, the direction of area will be this direction. So we have done this thing, similar exercise in the previous class also, where the electric field and area at each and every point was in the same direction. So I can write this thing, this quantity as closed integration E dA, which is equals to q divided by, so total charge inside will be capital Q divided by epsilon. Similarly at every point electric field will be same. So again this quantity will also be constant. So I can take this outside the integration. So this will become E into A is equals to q divided by epsilon naught. From here A can be written as, for this Gaussian surface, the area of this Gaussian surface will be 4 pi small r square, which is equals to q divided by epsilon naught. So from here E is equals to q divided by 4 pi small r square epsilon naught. Again 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught will be, 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught will be k. So this can again be written as k q divided by small r square. So as you can see, if the point is outside the sphere, electric field formula for both the sphere is same, which is kq by small r square. So this is the electric field outside the sphere. Next thing, using this formula we can find out the electric field on the surface of the sphere also, because if the point is on the surface, then the distance from the center will become smaller. So in that case, so this is the electric field. I can write this thing as electric field outside. Then electric field on the surface can be written as kq divided by capital R square. So this is the electric field outside the sphere when the sphere is solid non-conducting, which is kq by small r square. On the surface of the sphere, electric field intensity will be kq by capital R square. Now here you cannot write kq by capital R square is equals to sigma by epsilon naught, because this is not a solid conducting sphere. For solid conducting sphere, this is written as sigma by epsilon naught, where sigma is the surface charge density. Here the charge density will be volume charge density. So to write the formula for electric field on the surface of the sphere in terms of volume charge density, we have to slightly manipulate this formula. So electric field on the surface can be written as kq divided by r square, which will be equals to q upon 4 pi r square epsilon naught. Now I can multiply this term by r and divide this term by r, so this will become r cube. So this will be r cube and this will be r. Similarly, I can divide this by 3 or I can multiply sorry I can multiply this thing by 3 and divide this thing by 3. So now you can see this thing 4 by 3 pi r cube is the volume, q is the charge. So this is charge divided by volume. This can be written as rho. So I can write electric field intensity at the surface will be rho capital R by 3 epsilon naught. So now we have two formulas for electric field at the surface. In case of solid conducting sphere, this was kq by r square and sigma by epsilon naught. In case of solid non-conducting sphere, the electric field will be kq by r square, and in the terms of volume charge density, it will be rho r divided by 3 epsilon naught. So this is the electric field on the surface of the sphere. Now we are going to find out the electric field inside the sphere. So suppose there is a point from the distance, the point of the from the center, the distance of the point is smaller. I want to find the electric field at this point, which is inside the sphere. Again, using Gauss's law, I can write closed integration E dot dA is equals to q inside divided by epsilon naught. Now again, to find the electric field due to a charge using the Gauss's law, we assume a closed Gaussian surface. So I am going to assume a closed Gaussian surface again as a sphere. The radius of this sphere is smaller. So again, at this point, electric field and area will be in the same direction. So each and every point, electric field and area will be in the same direction. So I can again write this whole quantity as E into A, which is equals to q inside. Now in this sphere, the total charge is not q, because whatever charge you have given to this sphere, that whole charge is distributed throughout the sphere. So in this sphere, the total charge is not q. You have to find the charge from this using the formula of taking the help of surface volume charge density. So on this whole, I can write rho is equals to q divided by 4 by 3 pi capital R cube. Similarly, charge density in this one will also be same. So I can write this thing. So inside this, suppose the charge is small q. So this will be small q divided by 4 by 3 pi small r cube. Again, charge density, volume charge density for this sphere is q divided by the volume. So total sphere volume is this, total charge on the sphere is this. But I want to find the charge in this small sphere. So in this small sphere, the charge is q and volume of this small sphere is 4 by 3 pi small r cube. So from here I can write q is equals to rho into 4 by 3 pi r cube. So this is the q inside this Gaussian surface. So from here I can write this q there. So I can write this thing as rho into 4 by 3 pi small r cube divided by epsilon naught. Again, this A can be written as 4 pi r square. So I can write this thing as E into 4 pi small r square. From here 4 pi r square, 4 pi r square will be gone. So this will be remain here, rho r divided by 3. So from here electric field will be rho r divided by 3 epsilon naught. So this is the electric field due to a solid non-conducting sphere inside the sphere. So now we are going to summarize this whole thing. So you have a solid non-conducting sphere, charge given to this sphere is capital Q, radius of this sphere is capital R, and charge density on this one can be written as Q divided by 4 by 3 pi R cube. Next thing, inside electric field is rho R by 3 epsilon naught when R is smaller than capital R. On this surface, this will be kq divided by capital R square, which can be written as rho R by 3 epsilon naught. This is for R is equals to capital R. Then electric field outside can be written as kq divided by small r square. This is for R is greater than capital R. Similarly, if I ask you what is the electric field at the center, electric field at the center you will find out using this formula, because the point will be inside. So, electric field at the center of the sphere will be 0. So, at the center electric field is 0. As you go away from the center and inside the sphere, the electric field will be rho R by 3 epsilon naught, and when you reach at the surface, the electric field will be kq by capital R square, and outside the electric field will be kq by R square. So, from this you can draw the graph of electric field versus small r. So, we are going to draw the variation of electric field versus the distance from the center of the sphere. So, electric field and distance from the center. At the center electric field will be 0. As you go away till R is equals to capital R, you can see electric field is directly proportional to the R. So, the graph will be a straight line. So, here electric field is directly proportional to R, and after that, after you reach to the surface and you go outside, electric field is directly proportional to 1 upon R square. So, the variation of the electric field will be like this. So, here electric field is directly proportional to 1 upon R square. So, this is the variation of electric field due to a solid non-conducting sphere from the where R is the distance from the center of the sphere. So, this is the electric field due to a solid non-conducting sphere. Next, we are going to do the potential due to a solid non-conducting sphere. So, same thing, you have a solid conducting sphere, charge given to this one is q, radius of this one is r, charge density is rho. You want to find the potential outside, on the surface and inside at that point. So, outside electric field is kq by r. So, using the formula minus E dot V delta V is equals to minus E dot dr, which you have already done, I can write outside. The potential will be kq by small r. This will be for small r greater than capital R. Similarly, on the surface, I can write kq divided by capital R. This is the electric potential at R is equals to capital R. So, in V outside the sphere can be written as kq by small r, V on the surface can be written as kq divided by capital R, kq divided by capital R. To find the inside electric potential, I can use the relationship delta V is equals to minus of integration E dot dr. So, here I will do the integration between the outside point, on the surface point and inside point. So, I can write this thing as V inside minus V surface is equals to minus of integration rho r by 3 epsilon naught dr from capital R to small r. Here rho 3 epsilon naught is constant. So, this will come out, this will remain minus r dr. So, the integration of r minus r will be minus r square by 2. this from integration small r to capital R to small r, this can be written as Vi minus V surface, which can be written as Kq by capital R, is equals to rho by 3 epsilon naught capital R square minus small r square. You take this term that side, simplify this thing, rho can be written as q divided by or 3q divided by 4 pi r cube. You keep this value here and simplify this thing. Ultimately, the electric field inside, what you are going to get is V inside will be kq divided by 2 r cube into 3 r square minus small r square. So, this is the electric field inside the sphere. Now, if I ask you what is the electric field at the center, electric field at the center can be written as kq divided by 2 r cube. Instead of this small r, I can write 0. So, if I put this thing as 0, so this will be 3 kq r square divided by 2 r cube. So, this will be equals to, so V at the center will be equals to 3 by 2 kq by r. And as you can see at the surface, electric potential is kq by r. So, at the center it will be 3 by 2 times potential at the surface. So, this is the electric field inside the solid non-conducting sphere. This is the electric field, electric potential at the center of solid non-conducting sphere. Again, we are going to summarize this thing now. So, electric field outside is kq by small r, where small r is greater than r. Potential at the surface is kq divided by capital R, for r is equals to small r, r is equals to capital R. This is for inside point where small r is less than capital R, and this is at the center for which r is equals to 0. Now, if I draw the graph of potential versus r, you can see that at the center electric potential is 3 by 2 kq by r. So, electric field at the surface, at the center will be 3 by 2 kq by capital R. And inside the variation of electric potential is this, and you can see electric field inside V is directly proportional to minus of r square. So, you know this will be a downward parabola. So, the graph will look like this till the point you reach r. So, this is equals to capital R. This potential will be kq by capital R. After the surface outside, electric potential is directly proportional to 1 upon r. So, the graph will look like this. So, here V is directly proportional to minus of r square, here V is directly proportional to 1 upon r. So, this is the variation of electric field, electric potential due to a solid non-conducting sphere. So, you have to remember the potential outside the sphere, potential on the surface of the sphere, and maximum you can memorize is electric field at the center, electric potential at the center, and what is the relationship between Vs and Vc. This formula, I know this formula looks slightly tough, but if you revise it again and again, you can memorize this thing also. So, this is the electric field inside. The only thing different is here this and this. Other than that, if you see, you are going to see electric field outside and the surface. Formula for solid conducting and solid non-conducting is same, only the electric field and potential formulas are changing inside the sphere. So, this is the electric field and potential due to solid non-conducting sphere. The variation or the graph also you have to remember. So, we are done with the electric field due to a point charge, due to a infinite long charge. We have done electric field due to a infinite sheet. We have done the electric field due to a conducting plate. Then we have done the electric field due to a solid conducting, solid non-conducting, hollow conducting and hollow non-conducting sphere. Then we have written down the electric potential also, and then we have done the graphs of these things also. Again, Now you can see that there are too many formulas are there, so you have to revise them again and again because there is so much confusion, so many formulas, only terms are kq by r and kq by r square. So revise them as many times as possible. And now we are going to do the next topic, which is sharing of charge between two conductors. Suppose you have a conductor 1, radius of this conductor is capital R1. You have another conductor which is very far away from this one, radius of this one is capital R2. If I give this conductor a charge q1 and I give this conductor as a charge q2, I can write initial potential of this one V1 as k q1 by capital R1. Potential of this one can be written as k q2 divided by R2. So as you can see, potential of this one and this one depends on what is the charge given to this one, what is the radius of this one. So if there is a difference of potential between these two charges, if there is a difference of potential between these two spheres and I connect them if I connect them by a connecting wire. So this is a conducting wire. If there is a potential difference, then the charge will flow from higher potential to lower potential, or positive charge will flow from higher potential to lower potential. So if I am assuming here the potential of this sphere and potential of this sphere is different. So initially the charge given to this sphere is q1, charge given to this sphere is q2. So total charges can be written as small q1 plus small q2, because initially I have given the charge to this one q1, charge given to this one is q2. Potential initial of this one V1, potential of this one is V2. Now after some time, if the charge is flowing from this conductor to this conductor, till what point the charge will flow? The charge will flow till their potential becomes equal. So now suppose finally charge on this one is capital Q1 and charge on this one is capital Q2. Now the potential of this one will be K Q1 divided by R1. Similarly, potential of that one will be K Q2 by R2. Why the potential of this one has become from K Q1 small q1 by R1 to K capital Q1 divided by R1? Because charge is flowing from here to here. Till what point the charge will flow? Till their potentials become equal. So finally these two potential will be equal. From here I can write K cancels out. From here I can write Q1 divided by Q2 is equals to R1 by R2. From here I can write Q on a conductor is directly proportional to the radius. So bigger the sphere, more the charge it will hold if you are connecting it with another charge. So suppose you have a smaller conductor, you have a larger conductor, and you have given different charges to them, so their potentials are different. So charge will flow from smaller sphere to bigger sphere till their potentials become equal. Again, charge will be directly proportional to the radius of the sphere. So if this sphere has more radius, then this will hold more charge. If this is this sphere is smaller, then this will hold less charge. Potential of these two, when you are connecting them, potential of these two will be equal. Remember, charge flows from higher potential to lower potential. It does not flow from smaller sphere to larger sphere or larger sphere to smaller sphere. Charge will flow, positive charge will flow from higher potential to lower potential till the potentials become equal. Finally, the ratio of the charge will be Q1 by Q2, which is equals to R1 by R2. From here I can write final charge on the sphere will be directly proportional to the radius of the charge. Similarly, So I have got Q1 by Q1 by R1 is equals to Q2 by R2. I can multiply both the side by 4 pi. I divide this and multiply this by R1, and I divide and multiply this by R2. So this will be, so from here I can write Q1 by 4 pi R1 square can be written as sigma 1. So this one will be sigma 1 R1, and this will be sigma 2 R2. From here sigma 1 by sigma 2 is equals to R2 divided by R1. So from here I can write sigma is directly proportional to 1 upon R. So for a conductor, the conductor which is larger in the size will hold more charge, but the surface charge density will be less. So charge is directly proportional to the radius of the sphere, and surface charge density is directly proportional to 1 upon R. So these two things you have to remember for sharing of charge between two conductors. So again I write this thing. Q1 by Q2 is equals to R1 by R2. From here you can write Q is directly proportional to R. Sigma 1 by sigma 2 is equals to R2 by R1. From here you can write sigma is directly proportional to 1 upon R. So this is the sharing of charge between two conductors. Initially charge was Q1 plus Q2. Finally the charge is Q1 plus Q2, but you know that the charge cannot be destroyed and it cannot be created, so final charge will also be equals to this. So initially total charge is equals to finally total charge. Ratio of the charge is Q1 by Q2 is equals to R1 by R2, and sigma 1 by sigma 2 is equals to R2 by R1. So this is the sharing of charge between two conductors. Remember, these two are conductors, they are not insulator, because insulator will not allow the flow of charge. So charge will flow from one conductor to another conductor. Which conductor? Which has higher potential to the lower potential. Remember, not from smaller to larger or larger to smaller, from a conductor which has more potential to a conductor which has less potential. Next topic is methods of charging. Now this is a slightly theoretical concept, so I will explain one by one some methods of charging some material, sorry, charging a material. First method is by friction or rubbing. So we are studying methods of charging. In that one, first method of charging is friction or rubbing. We have seen that what do you mean by charging. Suppose I say a body has a positive charge, it means it has more number of protons than the electrons. And if I say a body has a body is negatively charged, then we say this body has more number of electrons as compared to the number of protons. Suppose you have a body A. Initially the body is neutral, and you have another body B. This is also neutral. So charge initially on this one is 0, charge on this one is 0. Now what do? I bring them closer and I rub both of them. Now, depending on the properties of the material, one of the material will have electrons which will be loosely bounded by the object, and second will have the electron which will be tightly bound by the at nucleus. So what will happen? The electrons which are loosely bound will transfer from one object to another object. So what I am going to assume? I am going to assume A has loosely bound electron, B has tightly bound electron. So the electron will transfer from the A to B. So I am rubbing A and B. Here electrons are loosely bound, here electrons are tightly bound. you keep on rubbing them. So finally the electron will transfer from to this one to this one. So finally you will see that A is losing the electrons, so number of electron is less. So A will become positively charged and B will gain the electrons. So this will become negatively charged. So initially both of them were neutral. Now when I am rubbing them, one of them will be positively charged, one of them will be negatively charged. So when you do the charging by rubbing, one object will acquire positive charge, another object will acquire negative charge. So this is the method of charging by rubbing. Again, this is not the actual method which I told you that electron is transferring, because just by rubbing there is lot of other phenomena happening, but that is not, you don't need to consider them. Just for your understanding purpose, just remember this thing, that when you are rubbing two surfaces, one of the surface will acquire a positive charge, another surface will acquire a negative charge. Second method of charging is induction. Now what do you mean by induction? Suppose you have a conductor, initially the charge on this conductor is 0. What you do is you bring another charge conductor close to this one. So here this charge, this is already charged. So first is you have a neutral conductor, then you bring another positively charged conductor or negatively charged conductor. So sorry, you have a conductor, initially this one is neutral and you want to charge this thing. So what do? You bring another charged object near to this one. So when you bring a positively charged close to this one, you will see that electron will be pulled in this direction and they will leave positive charge here. Now if you ground this side of the conductor, you will see that this charge will become 0, or here the charge electrons will flow from the ground to this one and they will neutralize this thing. So you will see that only minus charge will remain here. When you remove this thing, finally you will see that the minus charge is spread throughout the sphere. So initially you had a neutral conductor, by bringing another charged object close to this one, you have produced the charge on this one by earthing the other side. Similarly, so you can see here, when you bring the positively charged object close to this thing, you can give it a negative charge. Similarly, if you bring a negatively charged object, so the object is negatively charged. So here you will see that electrons will be pushed toward this. So here the charge developed will be negative and here the charge developed will be positive. Again, when you ground this thing, here electron will flow from the conductor to the ground. So when the electrons are flowing from conductor to the ground, you will see that this charge will be gone and finally the charge remain will be positive. So initially this was neutral, now you have given it a positive charge. So this is the method of charging by induction. So if you want to give positive charge, bring a negatively charged object. If you want to give negative charge, bring a positively charged object near to the conductor. Third method is conduction. Now just now we have seen that you have two conductors and if you join them, charge flows from one conductor to another conductor. Suppose I have a neutral conductor, so this is neutral and on this one there will be a positive charge. So this will be at higher potential, this will be at 0 potential. So if I connect them by a connecting wire, the positive charge will flow from here to here and finally this will also acquire some charge, then I can remove this and finally the charge on this one will be positive. So again you can charge this conductor by using a method of conduction. In this conduction, if you want to give the positive charge, you have to connect it by a positively charged conductor. If you want to give it a negative charge, then you have to connect it by a negative charge. So remember, in conduction we touch two objects, in induction we bring another charge object near to the conductor. So here you are actually connecting them, there you just bring in proximity. If in that one, if you want to give positive charge, you bring negatively charged object, and if you want to give negative charge, you bring a positively charged object. Here, if you want to give positive charge, bring a positively charged object, and if you want to give negative charge, bring a negatively charged object. Fourth method of charging is electron emission. Now, what do we mean by electron emission? Suppose you have an object, mainly it will be conductor only, because from removing of electrons from conductor is easy. So, you have a conductor, and you can, if you remove the electrons from this conductor will acquire a positive charge. So, that is called as electron emission. So, electron emission is the emission of electrons from an object. Now, electron emission can be done by three ways. First is photoelectric effect or photoelectric emission. Second one is using the heat, which is thermoionic, and last one is field emission. So, to give the or to charge a body using the electron emission, you can use three methods. First one is photoelectric emission, second one is thermoionic emission, third one is field emission. Again, electron emission is the removal of electrons from the a conductor. So, to remove the electrons from a conductor, we are going to study this in detail in a separate chapter. So, in this one there is an electron. If I want to remove the electron from the conductor, I have to give energy to this electron. Now, I can give this energy in the form of light, I can give this energy in the form of heat, or I can give this energy in the form of electrical energy by applying a electric field. So, in photoelectric effect, the light falls on the conductor and transfers this energy to the electron. Electron, by acquiring this energy, will leave the object, and it will leave behind positive charge. So, by photoelectric effect, light falls on the object, electron acquires the energy, electron comes out from the metal surface. So, metal is losing the electron, so it will acquire a positive charge. Similarly, so this is photoelectric effect. Thermoionic emission, what do? You heat the conductor. If you are heating the conductor, again the electrons will acquire energy. If the energy is enough, the electron will leave the object, leaving behind the positive charge. So, again this is just a method to give the enough energies to the electron, so electron can escape from the metal. Two methods, one is you can give the energy using the light, or you can give the energy using the heat. Last one is field emission. Now, in field emission, what do? Suppose you have an object and you want to remove electron from this. You apply a electric field. So, as you know that electron will move opposite to the electric field. So, this electron will come this side, but this is not going to leave this object at this electric field. So, what do? You increase the magnitude of electric field. As you are increasing the magnitude of electric field, the force on the electron will be Q into E, which is going to increase. Q E into E. As you are increasing the electric field, the force on this electron is going to increase. As you keep on increasing this at a particular point, what will happen? This force will be enough to remove this electron from this object. So, this is called as field emission. So, what is field emission? In the field emission, we use a very strong electric field to remove the electron from the material. This is called as field emission. So, we have seen 6 methods of charging, or in basic 4 methods of charging. First method is by friction. In friction, you just rub two surfaces, one of them will acquire positive charge, another will acquire the negative charge. Second method of charging is induction. In induction, you have a neutral conductor, you bring another charged body close to this one. So, the neutral conductor will acquire a charge which is opposite to the charge which you are bringing closer. Next thing is by conduction. In conduction you take two conductor and join those two conductors, and both the the neutral conductor will acquire the charge which you are bringing close to, which you are connecting it. Next thing was electron emission. Electron emission can be done by three ways. It can be photoelectric, it can be thermoionic, or it can be field emission. In photoelectric effect, you use the light to emit the electron from the object. In thermoionic emission you use the heat, and in the field emission you use a very strong electric field to remove the electron from the object, and the object will acquire the positive charge. So these are the methods of charging. These are the theoretical concepts you should know. I don't think there can be a tough question based on this one, but this method of charging can be combined with the remaining part of the electrostatic. So you should know about the methods of charging also. So with this thing, most of the portion from this chapter is over. There are small topics are remaining which we are going to do it tomorrow, and then we are going to do some problem based on the electrostatics from the previous year papers. So with that we will end this class, and I will see you in the next class. Thank you.